Hello.
Hello.
The stream should be able to hear you now.
That's good. That is preferable.
To farewell. Wolfie, take it away.
Alright. Yeah, so I'm going to be running farewell. I guess I'll do a countdown and I can explain what's going on as we go. So 3, 2, 1, go. That was actually a second up, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, so this game has a story. Now it's all in Japanese. I know the general idea of what's happening, so I'll try and fill you in as we go. A lot of things have just happened in the first, like, 10 seconds. Basically, we're on a train, and we're depressed. We see our childhood friend, who we haven't seen in, like, many years. We follow them because they have, like, this weird black aura around them. They run into a forest, and eventually we get whisked away into a different world. And now we're here. So we got rescued a moment ago by someone, he's like the hero of the town. I think his name is Neku. And he's like revered by everyone in the town. But we need to try and find a way home. So he tells us, first of all, if I want to cross like the path, I need to find like the star key or something. So we start by going in what I have dubbed the Cave of Eternal Truths. But I think it's just called the Cave. So we're doing the cave. This is I Want to Be the Guy fan game, by the way, if anyone did not know. It's rather long. It's pretty old, made in 2015. And it is largely an adventure game. With a bit of all sorts of other stuff. It has some pretty dodgy spots, so my estimate is like fairly lenient. So if I do go over my estimate, then something has gone truly wrong. So here we find the star piece. Nice little cutscene there. We have some lovely Japanese sound effects in this game. So this guy's name is Bit. He is envious of Neku, who is the town hero. And he gives us some advice on how to, like, you know, survive in this world and not to tell anyone that we're from, like, a different world. And he'll be important a little later. But now we have the star piece. We can basically leave the starting town. I also didn't split, but I'm just gonna not split this game. So we can leave. I just killed a little bunny there. We gotta kill 12 of them in this game to get the true ending. If I didn't mention already, we are going for the true ending. There are 4 different endings in this game. It's a bad end, like a normal end, and then like a good and a true end. We don't half-ass it, we go all the way. So this stage, we've got an umbrella gimmick. You can use that to repel bullets. And also glide. And this is the first main gimmick of the game. And also, there is one of the mandatory secrets that is in this stage, which is rather hidden. Got a Kirby there. Also, this entire game is basically made up of MIDI sounds, or MIDI music. So it definitely fits that very certain style. Okay. Yeah, the general idea of this whole story is we have to try and find our childhood friend, save them, and find a way home. And along the way we will face many trials, tribulations, moments of heartbreak, moments of laughter. You know, all the usual things you'd expect to find in a gripping adventure game. So these red things refresh my jump. That wasn't obvious. I need those to actually get around here. They do refresh, but they take a long time, so you can't really rely on the refresh timer. The brutal murder at the start of the game when I teleported into the world. So there's a curse. There's like an evil thing that's going around the world that's turning people evil. And when I teleported here, I almost died, but thankfully the town hero saved me. So here's secret 2. Hidden in this little suspicious-looking tile. But at the moment, the curse and all that is quite mysterious. We don't really know what's happening with that. We will find that out very soon. In the next hour and a half or so. A jump refresher basically refreshes the jump that you would do beforehand. In essence. It's a very, very evolved concept of a mechanic. Got some funny little business going on here with triggers and traps. So we're coming up on the first boss of the game. Which, like most bosses in this game, can die relatively quickly. But also can be relatively hard. So, it's anyone's guess how they're really gonna go in one run. This boss is mostly pretty simple. He has about 3 attacks, I think. Here he's gonna raise some spikes. I have to like kind of glide a bit. Watch those in the process. So when he's in red, he'll fire a shot at me whenever I shoot. But I can just manipulate that based on where I am. So this part of the game, we have to find the minecart, or we have to use the minecart to get to the Demon King's tower. But to use the minecart, we need a pass. And to get a pass, we need to prove that we are part of the Fangame community. So to do that, we have to take part in the contest. In this town, there is a bunch of makers, and they've all made games and fun stages to play. And to prove that we're a part of the Fangame community, we have to play 3 of those. There are like, I want to say like 10 to choose from here. The 3 that I chose are basically the 3 most consistent ones I can do. And also obviously in terms of speed. This guy has 10 health. I'm actually going to count this because it doesn't die when you hit 10 health. So he's at 3 now, I think. 4. This guy can be pretty nasty, honestly. I'm just going to hope he doesn't do any bad bounces. I think that's 5. 6. 7. 8, maybe? 9. Oh, okay. That can happen. As was evident by it happening. So that's 2 again. And he can also bounce out the way, which really is what you love to see. All things considered. Still at 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Okay. That can happen, as is evidence of... Exactly. I mean, it is the name of the game. We must say farewell to these uncertainties. Ironically, despite this being a bouncing cherry, it's probably one of the hardest bosses in the game for me to beat consistently. I never get stuck here, but I also rarely ever first try it, just because it is what it is. But, you know, sooner or later we will actually do 10 damage to this guy. That's 4. 5? Still at 5. 6. God. 7. 8. 9. Okay, not 9. Bro. 9. 10. Okay. So when you do 10 hits, you talk to him and he's like, oh my god, the game was bugged, I actually had 100 HP. And it counts as a clear. That is how it is. So with that, we have the hardest boss of the game down. Not really, but I like to think that it is. The other 2 games that I pick are both little Needle stages. For anyone who doesn't play Fangames or is not familiar, Needle is essentially a genre of Fangame that's heavily based around spike jumps, precision. Nice, usually die on that side of it. So these 2 needle things that I'm going to do aren't that long, they're also fairly consistent. Out of the ones you can pick, there are some pretty nasty ones. So here I do a little cherry line. No big deal, just in between 2 moving fruit. I I used to think that was a good strat, and then I realized that it actually doesn't make it easier at all, or faster. But it looks kind of cool, so I'll keep on doing it regardless. And now we have the third contest game, which is not in here, as a matter of fact. It's actually in here instead. This one here. That was a test to see if you were paying attention. I was not. So this jump has, or this save has one hard jump, which I found a setup for. That was 1 frame too far to the right. Gotta get that wall. Okay. Gotta do a jump that's like just under a full jump for that, and it can be a bit hard to nail consistently. In the meantime, enjoy the sick MIDI beats. Gonna throw in some obligatory jump cancels for my man Stonk, just to give the run some flavor. Okay, okay. It didn't need to be said that I will die quite a lot over the course of this run, as is the nature of Fangames. Alright, and that's our third one. So with that, we've basically proven that we are part of the community. So we can go and talk to the receptionist, who's like, "Oh, you did it, well done." It's gonna take a long walk down this corridor. And then this guy's like, "Hey, you did it, good job." So now we have that, we basically get the pass to ride the minecart, which should take us to the Heaven Tower, which I think is where the Demon King resides. So for any Final Fantasy lovers, you might recognize this music from FF6. And also, in general, this segment is inspired by a part in FF6, where you're riding a minecart out to escape the Magitech facility. Got a hard jump here. Okay, we got it. Not choke it now. Nice. Okay. Last jump on that is really hard, but there's a good visual cue you can do to try and to nail it. There's a bunny here, but we cannot get this yet. We'll be coming back for that later. So here we find a little blue crystal, which actually gets stolen from us immediately, but then immediately actually gets unstolen from us and handed back to us by this mysterious magician, who tells us that this crystal is very important and not to lose it. So, hopefully we don't lose that. Next of the 12 secret bunnies is coming up. It's a little ladybug here. So if you, you know, give it the business, it'll run away a bit and give you a little escape path. So here we have to avoid touching the walls, otherwise our bubble will pop. And that means that we die for reasons that I'm not entirely clear about, but I'm sure it makes sense. So I did a run before, like I did a test run before this run, and I died here about 5 times. It was really, really bad, but think about it. No death? Okay. No death. Turns into a bunny and we get that third hidden rabbit. So here we climb the beanstalk. You just kind of full jump and it works, only I didn't reset on the save, so it didn't work. But usually it works. Gives your finger a workout. We did it, okay. So here we are at the castle, which we've been working our way towards. Now for unknown reasons, not only does it look heavenly, we also find a Waddle Dee, and he sends us right back down into some sort of manifestation of the kid's psyche. Now this little thing here that was talking to us is like the adjudicator of our heart. And it's also the thing that's like above us now, this like little green guy. So we have like a little clone we can control. So what we're doing here is we're trying to find what happened to the kid to make him messed up, I guess? Something has happened in his past, and he must confront his demons to grow stronger. Strong enough to save his childhood friend. And to do that, we have to play this stage to find out, you know, what lies beyond. The kid has issues, yes. So in this stage, the green cherries that you can see at the top, if the ghost kid touches them, then I die. But I can touch them just fine. And it's also vice versa for the red cherries. The green kid can touch them fine, but I can't. Which is important on this save. I need to sort of do some little maneuvering and a cancel for stunk. And then some more maneuvering up and to the left and through. Some invisible triggers here. Just gonna skip past that. Hit that trigger with the ghost kid. So here's the false secret of the game. Gotta hit that. And then die to that once. For reasons which will become relevant later. So we shoot that. And then there's a hidden wall here. So here is the first secret boss of the game. Maybe one of the only secret bosses of the game, actually. So this boss, you need to use your clone to hit the skull, because whenever you go to the other side, it turns around. So you have to sort of extend it, and run to the other side, and then hit it 5 times. Do that, and you get the clear. Okay, that was a bit sketchy. I think it's one more hit now. The RNG gets a bit tougher here. Oh my god, help me. Okay. Anytime you want to give me a nice big opening. There we go. Bunny spawns, kill that, move on. So on the next screen we find out what's been troubling the kid. What's been tormenting him, the inner demons. Source of the kid's trauma, you know, all that kind of lovely, family-friendly stuff. It's his dad. So he must overcome his psyche by defeating the embodiment of his father. This fight has 3 phases split into 2 halves each. We do 5 damage as the ghost kid, and 3 damage as the normal kid. In every phase the cherries change how they act, and so here they bounce a bit in the air. The only part that's really a problem is the final phase. You can get screwed pretty badly. Hopefully we don't. See, these skulls spawn lines, which then go in random directions. This can be kinda scary. Only on this phase if it spawns high, which it did. But we're fine, okay. So if you've found 4 bunnies so far, you can actually go left and get the mirror. You can only get this if you found 4 of the secrets. And that is required to avoid the bad end of the game. I'll stay silent here. Alright, so now we fight Zangief. This boss is actually really hard, so I'm gonna sort of focus for a bit. The main difficulty is that you can switch between blue and red, but the time it takes to switch colors is frustratingly slow. Mainly here, it's a problem. Okay. So here it kind of gets a bit chaotic. And here he just kind of goes berserk. Okay, we first tried Zangief. That's basically the best thing I could have hoped for. That boss is legit pretty hard. And I've gotten very stuck there very often. But fortunately, I found a good strat to manipulate the color of the wall that he fires at you at the end. It's always the opposite of wherever you currently are. And that's a big relief. So now we can move on our heart free of burdens. So story catch-up, we overcame the kids' demons, kind of. And now we're basically working our way back out of wherever we are now, which is underwater. We got saved by a little blue fairy, who actually, I believe, takes the appearance of Azure, the creator of this fangame. Although in the context of this story, it's just a fairy, I think. Got stuck in the wall there. That was almost a bit scary. Let's save a bit to the left. You can softlock in this game, and I have done nothing to like, you know, safeguard that, so let's just hope it doesn't happen. I'm sure it won't happen. So in this stage, we're in a bubble. The bubble is the full hitbox. If it pops, we drown. It's the only way we can breathe underwater, basically. Might have made that? Okay, just barely. Zangief is just kind of there. There's no real story reason why Zangief is falling through the skies. But it's one of those things you kind of just have to accept. But maybe that's for the best. So we have a few more screens of this gimmick and then we come on to maybe the best stage in the game. So look forward to that. I'm gonna fall low here to bait that lure. Yep, okay, nice. Trigger there. Gonna stay far to the right here so that the cycles are easier. Now we have the stairway coming up, as I've dubbed it. Nice, okay. So this is actually the final screen of the stage. This has been a very, very good stage, honestly, so far. I'd say this is, in terms of platforming, one of the easiest stages in the game, once you've done it a few times. As I'm complimenting myself, I seem to be falling apart. Which is how it tends to go. Hold right here, and we go down. Alright, get excited, because this stage is worth getting excited for. Alright, so get this. Every time you jump, the orange spike shoots a bullet. It can destroy the grey blocks. That is all. They're all the ingredients you need to make a perfect gimmick. I'll let the design speak for itself. So here's a bit of a puzzle. We go on block 3, 6, trigger the wall, back to 4, onto 1, and back to 2, all the way to 5, and then the end. I particularly love this screen. It's a very satisfying screen to do. Gotta think about where you're firing your shots. Trigger a hidden block there, which gets destroyed, and then 7 hits. That was 6. But we'll need to remember 7 hits in a moment, because there's a certain screen some of you might know. The screen. But Wolfie, why did you leave that block there? Well, that's why. Shoutouts to Play the Farewell Medley, if you enjoyed that stream. You can see a whole lot more in that game, if you so desire. So there's a bit of a trap here. If you go below, then you get blocked off, as I just sort of demonstrated, albeit unintentionally. The save is kind of block jump city. There's a trap here at the end, so you gotta arc your jump into that. If you jump normally below it, then it redirects your bullet into you, basically. Two. There we go. So here's the perspective of your childhood friend who was captured by the Demon King. So here is something not good. The kid is arriving a little too late to save her. And blocking the way is also a vampire. This is just one of the Demon King's minions. There's no real, you know, character arc or relevance why the vampire's here. But we have to kill him nonetheless. It is just kind of how it is. Sky has one attack that's kind of a problem, depending on where he spawns. He can spawn anywhere in the room, as long as it's not like on top of you. and like within a certain distance. So if you stay on the left, he's always going to be over there on the right. Oh my god. One orange. That's the problem attack. Okay. So the orange attack, he fires off like 4 diagonal lines, which then erratically go in different directions. And if he spawns diagonally, then it gets very kind of bad. Ideally, you want to be sort of horizontal to where he is when he starts that. So I kind of hope he has a good spawn here. Oh my god. Be kind. Oh my god. Okay. So here, you have to trigger this cutscene, but then before you go through the door, you go back left. This is probably the easiest secret in the game to miss, maybe. And that little rabbit mouse that was on screen has removed some of these spikes, which lets you get this secret. That secret is kind of mean, but I know about it because I run the game, so. So here, we find that the bunny is dead, that has aided us so far, and our childhood friend is a monster, and we get poisoned. Basically everything's really bad, but the crystal enacts a magical power. And the memories come flooding back, and we are back in the past. So here we see it from the childhood friend's perspective. And we have a few revelations. So they were possessed at the start of the game by this black shroud, and forced against their will to go into a forest and get whisked away into this world. Also, another little twist, which I'll tell you in a moment. I realized there's a better time for it, so I stopped that mid-sentence. So in this timeline, this bunny comes here and gives you a key. Or gives the childhood friend a key, I should say. So now they can find a way out. But who is that bunny, you might ask? You might ask. So in that little cutscene a moment ago, we saw from the childhood friend's perspective, that talking bunny is actually the childhood friend's pet rabbit that you talked to before the game begun, called Memes, or Memes, but it's funnier to probably call it Memes. And that was also whisked away to this world, but it gained magical powers. So it's been helping you to try and reunite you with your friend the entire time. So that's a twist. So we're back in this world, back in town again, but we're in the past. This time the platforming is a bit harder. I don't really know why, like, in terms of like the lore, it just kind of is. But this time the story has also changed. So last time we got sent into here by, I want to say Neku, to find like a star piece. This time, the guy who was jealous of him has gone in to try and prove himself, because he doesn't feel like people in the town appreciate him. And the one person who actually really cares for him, this woman called Lime, I think, has gone in to basically like find him and save him. So we have to sort of go in and find what's happened. This jump is also ridiculously hard. Like, actually. But we got it. Some hard cycles here. Could be very sort of tight on the timing. Yeah, so we're looking for the guy who's run in foolishly, and the woman who went in to try and save him. That jump at the bottom is also pretty hard. There was one at the start of the game just like that. Just gotta line it up. Yeah, so it's the kind of scenario where he thinks nobody in the town cares about him, but actually there's someone that really does, and she's gone in to try and rescue him. And I stress this because in a moment that will be addressed whenever I get past this jump. Only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. In theory. Okay, so we find them. But he is possessed by that evil curse that I mentioned at the start of the game. So he shurikened her, and she's now wounded. So we have to take our gun and knock some sense into the guy. But he turns evil first, so we have to kind of deal with that. And this is the next boss. The demonified version of Bick or Bit. I keep forgetting his name. The guy with envy and jealousy issues, basically. This boss can be kind of hard, depending on what attacks he gives. And now we're at half health to spike spawn. So here the rocks kind of suck you in a bit. 3 hits. 1 more attack. Yeah, we got the worst attack at the end, which is a bit unfortunate. Although I am very, very used to that, so... Not really, yeah, not that beat up about it. Such as the farewell life. A classic. I think spikes him down now. Get 1 more hit in there. I'm gonna wait here for them to move. Oh, we got him. Okay. So he's back to his senses. He promises to look after Lime. So hopefully they can, like, you know, work it out. And we now progress to leave the cave. So we've successfully saved that guy. And Lime's fate is left unknown. For now. So in terms of the overall plot, we're still sort of trying to, again, find our childhood friend. Trying to find a way back home. And also kill the Demon King. It's a very archetypical, you know, hero's journey adventure, in a sense. We already had the bad end. Yeah. This is a pretty cool room. Gotta go back and forth a bit while these plants try and kill you. I believe this is pattern, because I always kind of do the same thing, although it doesn't really feel like it's pattern. Nice, and I've got some Mario references. Oh, yeah. Alright. We can now leave the cave. Yep, we're going to leave the cave. Yep, there's the exit. Unless... So... we've been eaten by a plant, so now we have to find a way out of the swamp, which we are now in. Using this gun, which can freeze solid bullets to use the platforms. Which is the gimmick of the stage. Also a very, very cool gimmick, IMO. Well, that just happened! Anyway, we go over here, and down, and so on. There's a few saves in this stage, honestly, which, for lack of a better word, give me the business. But we'll see. So I'm using a different key to fire these freeze bullets, and then when I let go of the key, the bullet stops. And that's how I'm controlling basically how far it travels and when to freeze it. These purple guys also like give you like acid when they explode, which you really don't want, generally speaking. I'm dead. Oops. I forgot. So you can only have 2 bullets on screen at a time. When you fire a third, your first one's gonna disappear. Nice. Alright. So nothing too special to say here, we're basically just trying to climb our way out of the swamp. It's implied we're underground, and our goal is still to find our way to the castle that we were at before. So we have to basically follow a similar path to the first timeline. But right now, yeah, we need to get back on solid ground. The save can be kind of mean depending on how the RNG of the acid sprays when you kill these jellyfish. Just gotta kind of hope it's, you know. Trick at that. Die to that. Do that again. Wait. That's... Okay. That was almost kind of bad. The save is super short, but also rather awkward. I should be able to walk that off. Yep, nice. So a lot of the saves in this game have traps at the end of them, as you can see on this one when you get to the end. A little bullet bill flies out of nowhere and gives you the old 1-2. But that should do it. Yeah, the true end is definitely cryptic, and the mandatory deaths only add to the mystery, I would say. Fake block there. So this is the final save of the stage. And the trap here, or the funny here I should say, is that. Old Mr. Croc. As they call him. Can I get up here again? I can't. Because every Azura game needs a jump scare or two. Could've gone that twice. I think he'll come back if I don't... Yeah, okay. So before you leave, which you obviously would, you actually have to go here to get one of the hidden bunnies. Because of course. You're gonna sort of make some space here by freezing it in the right spot to make a path. And then you can leave. So flash towards the childhood friend. The key that you got from the bunny is now being kidnapped by a mouse. But think about it. 5, pick up the mouse. Okay. 2, drop the mouse. 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. Mouse is scared, get the key. 2, 1, think about it, then we're done. Shoutouts to Lemon for trimming my solution for that down by about 15 steps. Alright, so honestly this part of the game is just a complete, like, disaster. But I'll try and explain as best I can. So in this timeline, like again, like things have kind of changed. In this timeline, the Fangame contest isn't happening. And perhaps worse, Fangames are like dead. Like nobody actually cares about Fangames as much. The next big thing is actually Yu-Gi-Oh! Like no cap. Everyone just wants to play trading card games in here, mainly Yu-Gi-Oh! So I have two options in order to like progress on the minecart again. I can either study Yu-Gi-Oh! And then pass an exam, which takes a whole week, or I can find someone who still cares about Fangames to give me a pass to escape. So we do the second one because we love Fangames. Am I right, people? So this thing here is actually completely irrelevant to the main game. You don't need to do this stage. But for true end, you need to do it because there is a bunny in here. One of the hidden secrets. I could explain how these spikes work, but honestly I don't even really fully understand. The simple explanation is the red speeds them up and yellow slows them down, but it's kind of jank. Here there's a bit of a funny segment, which I got really fast, alright. You can softlock here, if you save on the platform. Let's not do that. So for the secret you gotta hit these blocks in the right order using the spikes. Which... miraculously I did like first try. Again, that's... doesn't usually go that well. Alright, so... now that you've beaten one game at all, you talk to this guy, and he's like, you know what? I'm actually working on something. But it's not done yet. And he has like a younger sister who you need to talk to. But the problem is she is conflicted. For his younger sister is torn between Fangames and Yu-Gi-Oh! And she's like, you know, it's a bad time for all involved. So you talk to her and she's like, I don't know. I don't know. So while we think about that, we go back to town. So, heads up, this game can sometimes bug, and the music here can get kinda loud. It hasn't happened in, like, forever, but it can happen. Just like, you know, just throwing it out there as a what if, as a maybe. Just maybe. Okay, didn't happen. So now, we go back to town. We go in here, and to be honest, I don't actually know why we go here. This is the one part of the story I have no idea what the hell is happening. There's like a kid in like a lab thing. But you need to do this for some reason. You can kind of just fill in the blanks here and make your own story. I'm sure there's a very important reason why we do that. So we can go back now. Back to the contest town. But there are 2 secrets we need to find first. So if we go back into the cave, the old path that we took is now blocked off. And instead the other path is now open. So if we go to the right, there's now a bunny at the top there, which we can access by some cool looking platforming. And some leaping of faith. Yeah, this is, for the most part, this is just a fill in your own, like, make your own story, but this is canonically what is actually going on, more or less. So that's one bunny. There's one more bunny that we still have to find here. And I think this is related to the lab scene that we just got a moment ago, because we go all the way to the left, to the cliff. There's the child that was in the lab cage. And he kind of dies. I don't really know why. I think the bunny kills him. Like not like our bunny, but like one of the mini secret bunnies. But, sadly that's necessary for True End. It is what it is. So now we go back to the town. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Town. That was formerly the Fangame town. So again, the music could go really, really loud here. Wolfiexe, true. But it seems to not be doing that, which is good. So I think now that some time has passed, that guy, like the one remaining Fangame lover in the town, has finished his Fangame. So we can go and play that. And with that, we can get the pass to say that we are part of the Fangame community. And progress. I believe it's in here. Yep, he's like, hey, I finished it. Alright, cool. So the thing he made is called Don't Wanna Miss You, in which you have to control this little Waddle Dee friend by pushing a button on your keyboard to make it jump, whilst also doing your own, like, thing. This is basically the co-op adventure that you play by yourself. Just gotta guide him safely to the switch, and then you can die. It doesn't really matter after that point. You know, sometimes you don't need a gradient to make a good Fangame. You just need passion. And I don't know about you, but I think our friend here, Michael, in-game, has a lot of passion. And it's also kind of hard. You could have made it easier. So for any multitasking lovers, then this is this one is for you. Right, too high. A reminder, by the way, that like the Waddle Dee does have jump height, just like the kid. Thankfully, nothing is like actually precise, but it's still very easy to kind of fluff it and die. Here I just stand still entirely and focus on the Waddle Dee. I almost died in the process. So now there's a new mechanic. We can control the Waddle Dee and even use it as like a whoopee cushion, as a bounce pad. Wait, yeah, a bounce pad. A whoopee cushion is not what I was thinking of. Well, it functions similarly, probably. So we can jump, bounce, and do that. Like I said, it probably functions very similarly to a whoopee cushion. So we fall down. This part you gotta like fall simultaneously and switch and then do an input to make it bounce you up at the same time. It's pretty hard. But with a setup for the time, it's not too bad. Alright, so he thanks you for playing, and he's like, you know what? You're not that bad. You can be part of the community. But we are not done. Because there's still the sister, who is torn. So there's Joey and Tristan from Yu-Gi-Oh! On the left. If you miss them, don't worry, we'll see them again in a moment. So she's like, I don't know what to do. Do I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Fangames? Yada! So then we go back to the left. And then we go in here. Think about it. She's here. She is playing her brother's fangame. Which implies that she has chosen family over her own personal enjoyment. Was that the right player? It's hard to say. So now we go here and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters are all here. We talk to Bakura, who is now holding the secret, which we can kill to get the secret. Now, if you want to try and figure that out yourself without any translation or idea what's happening in this game, have fun. Because, like, it's... it is, you know, not clear, I would say, to an English speaker. Anyway, moving on. Next stage. We're in the fire cave. We have a dash power-up. We can only use this when we're in mid-air. And we can only use it when we've only done one jump. We can't use it after our double jump. This guy always aims at you, but if you dash fast, you can kind of just, like, cheese him entirely. Now there's a dragon following us for various reasons. Yeah, that is, I would say, the most cryptic secret to find, at least for a, you know, like, if you can't actually read the dialogue. Like, I'm assuming there's clues in the dialogue that indicate you need to resolve her questline, but it's really not that obvious if you're not really following the story. Which a lot of people won't because it's all in Japanese. Ah, I dashed anyway at the end, whoops. What also doesn't help is that questline can also bug out. Like, the flag that triggers, like, that kind of thing can just break. And you can fix it by, like, restarting the game, I think. Or even just, like, restarting, you know, like, pressing R, but there's not really a whole lot of reasons to do that at that point of the game, so that really doesn't help the confusion. Ah, shit, I think I might be dead now. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a story summary. So on the Delicious Fruit page of this fangame, at the bottom of the review at the top, which I think is mine, there's a paste bin linked in there that Grisha did to summarize the story. It's not obviously an entire translation, it's more of just like, this is happening, that's happening, like, you know, giving some context as to what's actually going on. So it's not always obvious. Okay. That was kind of messed up for a bit. So the stage gets a bit harder soon when you've actually got to pay attention to how far your dash goes. Which I believe is 4 blocks. Or 3.5, I don't quite remember now. I'm relying on muscle memory for the most part here. In terms of where I'm dashing from. Because it is rather precise. Get higher here. It's definitely not an easy game, and precision-wise, there's a lot of parts that are pretty rough. It's probably Azura's hardest fangame. He's made quite a few adventure fangames, but this is definitely his biggest and his most difficult. Here you gotta, like, right on the edge of the fire. Nice, that jump's pretty hard to do. Here we have Wario, who's on fire. Well, sorry. numerous Warriors that are on fire. Again, don't really know why, but... Well, I mean, he's surrounded by fire, I guess that's why. As for why there are like 5 of them... Maybe he was cloned at the lab or something. There's a lot of possibilities. So the next boss is the Fire Demon. He's not called that, but I don't actually know what he's called in-game, so... Seems fitting to just call him the Fire Demon. He has a few attacks, none of which are really too hard. And a few of which are really, really bad for doing damage, so we just kind of hope we don't get those. Any attacks where he basically flies upwards is bad for damage. Less of those, the better. Nice. Yep. Okay. 2 more hits, I think. His iframes become really, really long here. Okay, nice. We got the Fire Demon down. Back on the childhood friend side, I like to call this the stage. All of my inputs are basically controlling the stage rather than the childhood friend. As for what's actually happening in the story, it's hard to say. I think we're tackling the childhood friend's perspective of the kid and his damaged psyche and the trauma that he has been unable to let go of after all of these years. Because of something. Something. We don't know what yet, necessarily. Well, we kind of do. We know what to do with the dad, but... Alright, so moving on, back on the kid's side. You might remember this screen, but in this timeline the spikes are cracked, or some of them are. So now we can get this bunny, but we need to do a bit of needle. We can shoot the breakable spikes to actually to get there. I want to say you can get the bunny on the first timeline by doing the very hard needle screen, but I've never tried and I don't know anyone who has, so I really don't know. So there's the mysterious magician. I think he just tells you again, like... Oh, he tells you... Okay, he tells you there... You like something like you no longer have the blue crystal. Like... You know, like, basically, don't mess it up. This is your last chance. Basically, shit is getting real. More or less. Meaning this time, there's no undos, there's no time loops. We have to end this once and for all. So, we're back at the castle. And just like last time, we fall for the same trap and go down here again. So the bunny reflects on some things, but then gets hit by some darkness. We're sort of left to wonder what happened to the bunny. Memes. Last rabbit is up here. We have to do like some wind gimmick stuff. Gimmick here is whenever you're more than 3 blocks away from a wall, you get blown like really, really fast. So you have to use it's weird. Like this stage is just a lot of muscle memory for me at this point. Also cat jam, yeah, obligatory, of course. Hello. I wasn't falling fast enough there, I see. Okay. Makes sense. And one more jump to seal the deal. Or one more save, I should say. And we get the last bunny. You might remember this is the Zangief room, but this timeline Zangief isn't here, sadly. So now we found every bunny in the game, and because of that, we've unlocked the hidden cutscene. That was the hidden cutscene. I believe that gives you something important in terms of the ending. I don't know, to be honest with you. But it's good. It's a good thing that we got that, basically. We need that for true end. More or less. So this is like the point of no return. We talked to Memes the bunny. But he's evil now because he got blasted by that thing. So begins a very arduous and complicated and crazy and ridiculous boss fight. One of which the caliber is only seen in the hardest of Fangames and is basically the do or die point of the run. Nothing really comes close to it in difficulty, length, importance, it's over. So, it's those guys, it's the town people. So they have finally put aside their differences and teamed up to help us. And here we get a charge gun. Which was actually given to us by Lime, who is the woman who tried to help Bit in the cave. So it implies that she's still alive and she is doing her bit to help the player. So now here, the gimmick is basically a charge shot. I'm not actually that fond of this gimmick, but it also doesn't really last very long in the platforming element. The red circles don't kill you, but they do undo the charge that you, like, fire up. Nice, got the hardest jumps down pretty fast. This castle escape only really lasts like one screen or so. It's like an introduction. There's a trap there, by the way. It's funny. So I should mention, this is like endgame of like the story. This is like where shit is like getting real. Everyone's plot lines and arcs are intertwining. As we escape the castle. The bunny, still possessed, but the childhood friend escapes, saves the day. Then the darkness escapes, but the mage comes to save the day. But then the demon king comes, but then the mage helps the bunny and the childhood friend and says, "Kid, this is your story." So now we fight the demon king. He does actually say that, by the way. I only found that out last night and it's really badass. Really puts the bow tie on the story. So now, this guy is kind of a pain in the ass. He will block your bullets very, very frequently with that blue shield. And when he gets into red health, he becomes even harder to kill because his shield activates all the time and he becomes faster. Basically all of his attacks are buffed. So we're kind of just hoping for good spawns. More or less. Okay, I think it's one more hit. Ideally he flies upwards. He did, how kind. The Demon King is killed, but he fires his darkness, but we have the mirror, which saves the day. So you would get bad end there if you didn't have the mirror. And now, at the end of it all, we finally take a look into the kid's darkness. And overcome his fears and his sorrows once and for all. So this is probably the only visual challenge gimmick that I really, really like. Mainly because it's not really that much of a visual challenge. So on a timer it always stabs the screen. I can destroy these little fragile blocks. It's a pretty cool gimmick. Now we have bomb blocks, which explode, obviously. I mean, yeah. That's too late, not too early. This is not the Boris Johnson stage. I refuse to tie that name to a game as charming and as lovely as this. I refuse. Anyway. past here. Nice. So we have a little mini-boss to deal with before we can leave. Oh, we're coming up on basically the... What are the darker revelations in the game? In terms of story? So we already know that the kid has some trauma with his father, as we saw in the early stage. Ah, I missed a shot. And we're gonna find out very, very soon what exactly happened to forge that trauma. I didn't see that. Alright, well. Like, there are actual mechanics happening here, like the red one always fires an aim bullet and the blue one goes diagonally, but I kind of play this just pretending like nothing's really happening. And it usually works out okay-ish. So. Yeah. So what happened in the kid's past? If you found 8 secrets, you can find out. So it turns out, long ago, the kid's mother died, and as a result, the father became abusive. I did say the story was pretty dark. But the kid is ready to overcome his past and become a better person for his experiences. This boss can die in like 10 seconds, by the way, because it has like 5 health. It is also quite the clown fiesta, which means I probably won't kill it that fast. In any given attempt. One more shot. Alright. So, at long last we've overcome our past, and the heart administrator says, I can take in the darkness, but you must be ready to fight it. So, the final boss is the absorbed darkness of the kid into the thing that's been helping us like throughout the course of the game. And this boss is quite the thing. So it reuses a lot of the gimmicks seen across the kid's journey so far, like the umbrella from the tower at the beginning. Oh, the memories. Yeah, the story is rather anime. So this fight back and forth between using gimmicks that you found in the game and also riding these like blue bubbles to shoot her eyeballs. So her eyeballs do kill you if you touch them. Ah, that's pretty bad. That's probably fine. My pattern is thrown off now because I missed that first landing. So here we gotta use the fire star again to dash back and forth. Need 2 more shots here. Okay. Yeah, I also really like the atmosphere of this boss. The music is a kind of a weird, haunting atmosphere. So now, in this phase, the floor is gone after you do your first shot. And every time you do this attack, the HP is 1 more than it was before. But the real reason why this boss is hard is this phase. So from the swamp, we have this. The gimmick where you fire bullets. But now we have a whole lot of shit going on that's really just making this kind of messy. So the red bullet bills aim at you and destroy your bullets. The mines also aim at where you shot and blow up your bullets. The eyes still kill you if you touch them. But we did it, which is a miracle. And now we just need to not die on the hardest part of all. And hope we get good spawns. Okay, we did it. We overcame the darkness. And like that, we are reunited with the crystal. We go back. The bunny comes with us, because it also has a home to return to. And we are home. And the kid's story comes to an end. That's time, by the way. See, what I meant to put in the estimate was 104, not 140. It was a typo. I swear. That's also a world record. My previous world record was 113 or 114. Yeah, that's a pretty significant world record. That run went really well, all things considered. But that is the kid's tale. And yeah.
Hello, Wolfie.
Hello, Anuj. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. Good run. Congrats on the world record, but I have some news that you have to stall for 40 minutes.
I will try. I have things I can do.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I'm happy with that run. That went the two main problem parts, which was Zangief and the final boss, were first tries, which is really the main things I was worried about. So I'm really happy they went well. So yeah, the credits kind of going for a while here. Grisha also in chat. Gree1 was the person who translated the plot. About Lab, remember Zombie at the beginning? He was friend of the guy who jumped from the cliff. In the lab, scientists wipe out the memories of the guy who became zombie, so his friend would forget pain of loss. But with memory loss, guy feels empty and lose the reason to live. I see. Yeah, so again, this story is really quite dark. Let it be known, this is not a lighthearted story. But it also has an uplifting message and a happy ending. So here we're seeing everything that was basically in the game. A moment ago we also saw like Shiki, which was the childhood friend, in demon form, in the bad ending. Crocodile Bro, we got the cat puzzle, featuring the cat and the stony cat, which was part of the puzzle. In general, this credits is quite nice. We got a lot of little reminiscent memories. Who could forget Fire Dragon, Burning Wario, the Burning Waddle Dees, the stage, like you really can't forget these iconic moments. Unfortunately, Scenario is probably not a 30-minute job, at least not now. I forget what my PB in Scenario was when I did run that game. So here we see all the boss fights, and you might think, wait, I never saw Miku in this game. But don't you worry, for that thought will be addressed momentarily. So here is the spirit of the father. We have Zangief, perhaps the most iconic boss in the entire game. We have the Demon King's like stooge, like, you know, lapdog. It's big in demon form. I don't know when that appears, and I don't remember where, but it's really scary. I'm glad it's gone. Testaros, okay. We have the giant robot thing, the Demon King, Dream Spirit, the prototype, which I also, again, don't really understand. I think this is a manifestation of basically all of the darkness. And then finally, the Heart Administrator, intaking the darkness of the kid. Which I believe is from a game called Irisu Syndrome. Someone correct me if I'm wrong though. So we have Kid, the protagonist, Shiki, his childhood friend, Neck, the hero of the town, Bit, the person who was jealous of Neck, Lion, the person who likes Bit and got shurikened in the head, the mysterious magician, and then a bunch of NPCs, like a bunch of townspeople. We have Memes, the legend, the actual legend. And then some shoutouts for asset usage here, which, you know, respectable. Can always respect asset shoutouts. It's really nothing bad about that. and the legend himself, as you were. So, if you get the true end, I don't quite remember what happens if you don't get the true end, because I've actually never gotten any ending other than this. My understanding is if you get ending... Okay, so there are four endings. The bad ending is you don't have the mirror, and you die when the Demon King fires his darkness at you after you beat him. That's bad end. The next end is I think if you don't have more than 8 secrets, you don't find out the truth about the kid and his past, and you don't confront the past, so you don't also fight the prototype. The good end, quote unquote, is you do come back to the real world, but your childhood friend has lost her memories, and in general it's very like kind of melancholy, I think. But in the true end, because we found all the bunnies, she has her memories, as does the kid. Her bunny also came back alive, that's also like an important thing. They meet up in the real world, far, far away from that, you know, isekai, and then they vow to stay by one side forever and ever. And that is ending 1, the true ending. So when I was mashing text right before the credits, there was like a bunch of dialogue. You might have noticed they like go into like a room at some point. So that's actually the kid and Shiki returning home. And the father is in the room crying. And he apologizes profusely, saying that he had visions of himself, his wife, and the kid when they were alive. And he vows, like, to never do it again. Apologizes, you know, just a ridiculous amount. And vows to be the best father he can from here on out. And the kid says something along the lines of, I have this written down, all the people I met in that world were embodiments of my weaknesses. In this adventure, I was able to face myself, and now it's time to say farewell to the old me. Which is why the game is called I Want to Be the Farewell. So there you go. Now you know. But how about we take a visit to the contest? So something I didn't get to say when I was running this, because I was kind of in a rush, obviously, because I was speedrunning. The whole concept of this stage is that you have to beat 3 things in order to say that you're in the Fangame community, right? But this thing was actually a real thing that Azure, the maker of the game, was doing when he made this game. Is he had a little contest where Fangame makers could submit like little stages. And he put them all in this game, like, you know, under the pretext of like being a contest. So like all these little people here, like, you know, they have like a little line to say something about their game. Tells you what it is, what difficulty it is. And it's like a very cute little wholesome thing that was like made in, you know, it's like a real event but put into the game for that purpose. So if you wondered where Miku was, after seeing her in the credits, this is one of the contest games. Is you get to do a Miku avoidance. To this song. I will say, just to get out there, the only time I beat this ever was my first playthrough, which was a long, long time ago now, like 2019. So I don't really remember what happens. I think these fly left, maybe? Yeah, I'm insane. Yes, this really is a classic song. but sometimes it is how it is. So that's one of the games you can do in avoidance. So if you remember the 3 that I did like that weird guy's like 10 HP cherry boss. There's also this lovable little rascal, NKRN, and he has made Love Trip, which is a reference to I Wanna Be the Love Trap, which is an iconic screen in that game. This screen, I was actually considering for a while doing this in the run. The problem is it's kind of hard because it's like long. You gotta like go around and around, and then there's a hard T-bone jump here. And there's like a trigger there that does some, you know, zany nonsense. That's the guy who basically says, like, I made a boss! 1 stage, 1 boss. That's actually 100 health. That was meant to be 10. This little rascal. This little rascal has made a minigame. Oh, it's a mouse thing, right. I remembered that. So, like, if anyone ever does want to run this game, you have the option of doing, like, one of these instead of, like, the things that I was doing earlier in the game. And it could even be faster. Like, I'm not, like, entirely sure, like, speed-wise, how it all syncs up. But from what I found, like, the most consistent ones that I had were the cherry boss and then the 2, like, relatively easy-ish needle stages. Although, all things considered, the cherry boss cost me, like, 3 minutes in this run, so it's really hard to say what the ideal path is through these things. You might get some extra dialogue, but I don't know for sure. For the most part, no. You only need to beat 3. The idea is you have to beat 3 to prove that you're in the Fangame community, or to like earn the respect of the community or something along those lines. So this is a very iconic I Wanna Be the Guy Fangame song from Guilty Gear. I think. Is it from Guilty Gear? Probably. You need to be... you need to be at 5k, I think, to get the victory for that. So that could honestly be like a contender for one of the 3 contest things you do at the start of a run. So I did this middle one. Your other choices are like a really, really low grab one, which I don't do because it's like, kind of hard-ish. Like, it's not like hard, but I couldn't beat it fast relative to the other ones. But yeah. And then there's also, I believe, this is the weird one. Oh god. Okay, so... So when I first ran this game, I actually did this one. This is a gimmick whereby it creates a solid path where you walk. And you have to, like, make a way for yourself to, like, get across. Now, this seems like a cool gimmick, and it is. But it gets really weird, I think. Like, there's some parts that are just, like, not that easy to do. I think if you practice this, so this would actually be one of the fastest ones to do in the contest. So, was it this that's weird? No, maybe not. Maybe it was. Okay, well, anyway. That's another one of the options that you've got. These are all different needle levels, I believe. So this one is a one-screen deal, but you're given the battle line for every single corner. So if anyone doesn't play Fangames, or if you just don't know, a corner jump generally has like 2 lines, like ways that you hold against the wall, which make it easier. One which makes it really, really hard, like really, really kind of bad. And this stage is basically based all around battle line corners. So you need to like do a small jump into them and then double jump out of them. Same with this one, and then land on a ledge. This isn't really a stage that I wanted to do in a run consistently. But it's there. The more prolific, more proficient needle players will probably do this one rather than like the boss one, maybe. I do like this part where you're forced to get the battle line because it's an 11 pixel wall hug. Go into this corner, get the good line, go back through the corner, and then full jump through the corner normally. It's like kind of cool. And then this one is like, you need to like change your line to fall through these spikes, which is kind of messed up, really. But yeah. This is, again, this is an option you can do for the contest at the start of the game. And I'm gonna be real, like, I did that faster than I did the cherry stage in the run, so maybe I really messed up on that. And this is just kind of hard needle. That is... Oh, it's only one stream, but yeah, this one is, like, probably not worth doing, IMO. This part you can go to. But the actual room with a guy... Alright, there's a library here. I think this gives backstory on the world. There's like a lot of dialogue in this game that you don't see in the speedrun, because it's irrelevant, you don't need it. Forgot that it was a thing, honestly. Like, I haven't seen that in like 4 years. But I think that said, like, don't touch, and, you know, it's a library. The name of the game! Yeah, that's the library. There's honestly probably a bunch of, like, really cool things in here if you're, into reading that. But the lack of a translation does, hinder a lot of players' ability to understand what's happening. And here is actually the guy you might remember in the second time loop. He was making a game. And, you know, his, like, little sister is torn between Fangames and Yu-Gi-Oh! Which, you know, happens. That is just kind of how it be sometimes. Generally speaking, all the characters have, like, are, like, there with dialogue between the two routes of the game. Yeah, I think you were right, Lemon. There are definitely hints towards secrets in this game, but again, if you're not a native speaker or you can't read Japanese, it's quite hard to know blind where some of them are. What is this? Oh, right, it's a voting thing. So I think people could vote for the contest on which one was their favorite. Love Trip was apparently first, only by like about 13 votes. Followed by the Miku one, I think that is. I think the third one is the mouse wheel one. With like the planes and like the giant saves and the giant spikes. Fourth one is a needle game, an interesting needle game, and then the fifth one... I don't know what that one is. That's something else entirely, but... Yeah, Love Trip and the, Ricardo Miku won by quite a bit. Love Trip, because of its references to Love Trap, a popular fan game. And I guess Miku is, again, because, you know, every fan gamer is somewhat, connected to Miku, I guess, in this day and age. And here's the contest guy himself. The actual legend, Michael. It basically tells you, like, clear 3 fan games and you can join... yeah, I think it's join 3 fan games and you can vote, which then means that you can also be counted as part of the fangame community. There's a lot of, like, flavor to this game. There's a lot of, like, cute little things and additions that give it, like, a lot of character. I think in general, like, fan games these days don't focus that much on story or dialogue. But I think this was, like, a great example of a game that did it well. Like, if you don't care, it's not that hard to just skip past it all, but there's definitely a lot in here if you want to explore that sort of side of the fangame world. Don't believe I can go back to the first town at the moment. In the first loop, can I? No, you can't. Okay, well, that is what it is. Speaking of story, so the Farewell Medley came out. We'd love people to enjoy that. If you liked that one stream that was in the split called the Farewell Medley, which you can't see because I wasn't sharing my splits, then you will certainly enjoy one part of that game. And if you hated that screen, then it's only in one part of the game, so you might still like it. But as I am filling time at this point, I'm not sure how much longer I have to fill time for. I sincerely apologize to all tech crew for being too fast in the run that I did. It wasn't my intention. I expected to die on Zangief in the final boss quite a lot. So I'm sorry that kind of went well. That's... I really dropped the ball. But... it is what it is. I will say that when I made my estimate, my PB was like 20 minutes worse. Or maybe even like 30 minutes worse. But you know, it is how it is. Sometimes that is just how speedruns go. Sometimes you accidentally just go beast mode, and things go miraculously well. So again, this won the contest of the Azure game making contest for this game. I still have yet to play the game that this is originally inspired from, but it is definitely referencing it. That much is for sure. Are there anything on this save? Oh, that was the clear. Okay. Also, a cute thing that Azure always does in his games that I also really like is that the title screen is usually very in sync with the end screen. So obviously, if you notice, the end screen here is like, you know, the kid and Shiki happy together, and the title screen is just a sunset on this. So it's all very nice.
I'll save you a bit, and we might have to interview you.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Alright, I'm just gonna transition over real quick.
I was running out of things to really do in the limited saves that I had. So...
good luck.
Hi.
Hold on a second while I just finish setting this up.
I wasn't sure what stage we were on.
Okay, you guys are good to start.
Alright.
So,
would you like me to mute the game sound, or is it not playing right now?
sure, Cosmo will let you know. Anyways, I'm Shadows Die Away. Been here for quite some time, doing stuff with the marathons and with the Fangame community for I Want to Be Fangames. So Wolfie, you've been running games since I think the first Fangame Marathon, right?
I think the very, very first one I missed submitting something, but for the second one I did. It was either 17 or 16.
Yeah,
if 17 was
like the opening one, like the opening game to that one too.
Yeah, I did I think the first marathon I ever did, I actually ran Pastel, which was also a game by Azure, the person who made this game right now. So it's kind of a nice touch that my first ever run was a Azure game, and I don't want to say this is the last run I'll do, but it's nice that, you know, we're still doing Azure games.
Yeah, no, so out of all the games that you run during Fangame Marathon, what has been your favorite ones?
Favorite ones? Definitely, I mean, Farewell's definitely one of my favorites, purely because it's like such a varied run. It's also very unique, like not many fun games have this crazy, elaborate story. And you know, there's like a ton of gimmicks and a ton of bosses, like it's very interesting. Also really liked Ocean Princess. I ran that a few years ago as the opening run, I think, in 2019, I want to say, or 2018. Big fan of that game as well. They're probably my two favorites.
Nice. Yeah, and you did, I think in 2019 you also did Defeat the Robot, something like that. A Dorito race, and I think you also did one of the blind races.
Yeah. I distinctly remember my Defeat the Robot run being kind of a train wreck.
I mean, we gotta have some of those in this marathon. There's always at least one.
It is how it is. Like it's a hard game. There's bosses that are very volatile. But I'm glad that since then, I think a few other people have run the game and smashed my time. I think Cosmic has the record now. Cosmic Sans. So shout outs to him. Like destroyed that run.
Yeah, Cosmic's known to get a lot of world records.
Yeah, that is his thing.
Yeah, so you have 2 more runs that you're going to be doing in the marathon. I think you're doing the Gooba Waga Wahoo event and the adventure race, the blind one.
Yes, actually, there's a third as well. There's another thing on top of those 2 things. I'm gonna be part of the Nang race on Sunday. I believe that's in the bonus. I believe it's in the bonus stream.
Yes.
That will also be something to witness.
Yeah, as a reminder, everybody, do not sign off after you're done with the. We're gonna do our regular stream. We're gonna take a rest, and then we're gonna come back with a bonus stream. Basically covering a lot of extra games, some fun stuff that's not in the regular marathon, a couple of extra events, and yeah, that's gonna be definitely one of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'm excited for both the blind race and the Gooba Gaba Gooba Wahoo. I don't know what it's called. Whatever it's called.
I think we've also had a couple of other special events. Like I think we had. You were part of the Needlemaker ones, right?
Yeah, I was part of a couple of those in the past. I think like 2 or 3 of them. I think the very first one. I'm trying to remember what it was like now, because I think I did one in like I Wanna Maker, and then I did 1 or 2 before that were just in Jetul, I think.
Yes, and that's part of Make the Marathon games.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those are fun events, but now that Maker's out, it's a little bit easier to do that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that's happening this marathon though, right? Like a Needlemaker event?
Not this one. We might bring it back next year, but we have so many really good events that are coming up, especially since we have a lot of extra communities that are a part of us. We have Celeste, we have the Super Mario 64, Super Mario World is joining us for the first time. I don't think we did a Super Mario World one before.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Monkey Ball as well. That first one was so good. And also just having what was his name? Darude? Darude. Having him there to comment for Matthew. That was really cool. Just always good having a developer on board with that.
Yeah, it's cool. I also like that this year there's like blind games for other fan games. Like I don't think in the past we've ever had blind games that weren't just I want to be the guy blind games.
Yeah.
So that's also been really, really cool to see on the timetable, on the schedule.
And Mario World, Mario 64, Celeste. Also have the Celeste randomizer and the Lama Lana randomizer before was so cool as well. It's always fun to see the different communities be like, okay, well, I love the game. How can we add more content? And randomizers are a really cool way to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. I think they're always kind of fun to play. I've still yet to find a randomizer for a game that I really, really like to play. I'm still sort of waiting to see one of those, like, to play it myself.
Yeah.
But they're always fun to watch.
Yeah, well, Donkey Kong Country, there's no randomizer, but there's a lot of ROM hacks there. I've seen people like Laser Belch do those, and they're really, really fun to see. But I think Legend of Zelda has a randomizer.
Yeah,
there are a lot of really cool ones there, but I hear you. It's a lot harder to program in a randomizer than it is to do just a ROM hack or a fan game or stuff like that, or a mod.
Yeah, I'd be interested in doing like a Final Fantasy randomizer at some point, although I think they're also kind of harder, at least with the exception of like a few of the earlier ones where it's easier to sort of scatter the data and get it all working.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that we've been doing Fangame Marathon for a very long time, but you've been part of the Wannabes community for even longer than that. When did you join?
I would say like 15, maybe 16. It's sort of hard to say. I kind of came here from playing Wings of V, which is a game that Solgren made, who made I Want to Be the Boshi. It was his first like retail game, and I was running that, and then I just sort of like started drifting more into fan games, and until I was like an entirely a fan game streamer.
Nope, that's how it happens. Boshi was my first game that I played. What was yours?
Fan game. I played Fangame way back in like 2012 or 13. Like I don't know when it came out, but it was like super like old school. And I played Boshi as well, like went around like when that came out as well.
Gotcha.
Like my sense of time here is I can't quite remember what years these games came out in, but I did play them like around the times they came out. Before I knew anyone in the community. I watched like 10 shots. Like run like How to Meet the Guy and like Boshi, like Kale run Boshi and stuff. Like they were like the older days of like kind of like the community and like just in TV and stuff.
Gotcha.
It's changed a lot since then.
Gotcha. All right. So then you played Fangame and you played Bashi, but what were some games that you actually enjoyed? No, I'm just messing. Fangame's actually pretty fun.
It's like-
Soul Grenade also, that's a really good game. I mean, there's a reason why I played Bashi first. But yeah.
I mean, I'm not a mad fanatic about Boshi. Like in terms of the game, it's definitely a cool game. I think we could stand to use more games like Boshi, but it's not really my favorite game to play by any means.
Yeah. No, I remember him making that, and obviously we had I don't know, like Lethal Frag was on there, and there's references to him and Rosie on it. So it's really cool to not just have bank games for the actual games that you're playing and want to play homage to, but the streamers that are in there too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the kind of game that encompasses like a lot of different facets of the community. Like it references a lot of games, a lot of like people, a lot of like just things that people have in common, and it kind of makes the game a lot more unique and varied, I think.
Yeah.
And I saw there was like a Fangame in like development now that's like meant to be very inspired by Boshi. I don't remember the name of it, if someone in chat might know. But I saw like a bit of gameplay of it. It actually looks very similar to Boshi and pretty high quality too.
That's awesome. I mean,
so
I'd love to see more like that. Bashi was such a good game. It'd be great to see something like that too.
Yeah, I want to try is the name of the game. Definitely keep an eye out for that. That looked really cool from what I saw.
Nice. And I think, was it Cultured? Yeah, I Want to Be Cultured. I think that's the one that pays like Clayson, TJ, 10 shots. They're in the game, not just paying tribute to other fan games.
Yeah, I think that was like the older days of the wannabes. Yeah, I was like 10 shots. Obviously, some people who haven't been around in a long time now are still remembered. That's another thing that I like about games like that is, it's like kind of a landmark for people in the community.
Yeah.
Kind of like immortalized. I like that about the community. I think it's a good way of like representing people and recognizing like streamers and makers and players.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Wrecked as well. That's a game that made me realize I suck at avoidances.
Yeah,
I mean, Wrecked was so good. That final boss with TJ and Clayson was just incredible. Plus, I mean, games like that too, you see a really cool boss, and then you think, okay, well, where is this coming from? Wrecked is a great place to be like, oh, here's the title card. Want to try playing this game? Cool. It's on our community page. Just download it and try it yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about Melees in general. Is it also serves as a good advertisement. I know now with the Melee he was working on, Save the Series, that like his intention was to get a lot of people just to play the games in the medley, because obviously people would like play a stream and think, oh well, if you like it, go and play it, and he would consider that a success if that was the case. So hopefully that can happen one day if that game ever, definitely would love to see that.
That's why we had the K2 Savage Mountain and K3 Storm Peak challenges, because there are so many. Like there's a couple of okay games, but there's also so many good references to games in that in Melee 2 and 3. It's always nice to have like that be oh, let me track my progress, let me see what my records are versus other people. Let's create some competition out of this stuff, and that's sort of why we do we have the PB world record system, of course, but in the marathons, doing a race against each other, one shot, not just like cool, get your best run in. It's like, no, this is your run no matter what happens.
Yeah, and I think like that's a big appeal of challenges in general, is like this sort of forward sense of progression. Kind of like how like when you're playing like a game, it's like, okay, beat a stage. If you're doing like a wide challenge comprising of like a lot of games, then just beating one game is like, all right, you're making a step towards like this further goal. So it kind of makes it feel more like a meta game, kind of like to beat like all the games in the challenge. It's like this kind of different spin on it. Like it's what I did for a while with like my fun game challenges. Kind of doing a similar thing to like the Storm Peak or the Savage Mountain. Like a long list of games, and you just work through them over time and aim to beat them all.
Oh, definitely. And like even just making the games themselves, like you were one of the creators of the Blind Needle Race one of those years?
I've been involved in a couple of them, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last year you raced up against Wolfie. Yeah, I'm looking at now. Frag, Gabaro, and Wolsk.
Yes, for the adventure game, I believe that is, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always cool too, because it's like, okay, there is no PB, there is no world record. You're in this version that's maybe not even the final one, because it's, you know, we developed it to get it out, but
which I believe is still waiting to come out in the first place. It's almost been a year now.
Yeah,
I do hope that game does come out, because that was a great game, and I know the stuff, the devs on it have like made something really, really cool. I think people will like. So I do hope people can play that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to development stuff for a marathon like this, I mean, just think about 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago. I made the game for the Blind Needle Race, the 10-level game, where each level
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, the Roman numeral.
Yes.
For that one, to get it out of the door, we basically just said, okay, cool, just here's 5 songs, GM, here's in Game Maker, just here's the songs, here's the levels, and just no programming or whatever, just here's the maps, put it in there, and that was it. But for it to actually come out and release, it took another like 4 months or so, because, you know, that was like, okay, let's program in some effects, let's ramp up the production value, let's clean up some of these, you know, Marathon was sort of like a beta test at that point, and it was like, okay, cool, so everybody was stuck on this save, everybody blew through this save, let's balance this a little bit more. So getting out for a marathon versus getting out to the public, where it's more than just 4 people that can, you know, make rules themselves or completely demolish a game and look like, you know, absolute geniuses, it takes a lot more time for that to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of games get stuck in some sort of like pseudo like dev hell, where people want to keep on tweaking it and adding things and try and make it as like perfect as it can be, right? But like sooner or later you just kind of have to call it done and, you know, polish it up as much as you can and just say, all right, here you go. And like, you know, you can always change it afterwards, you can always make tweaks, you know. It's just the life of making fan games. It's the release version is rarely ever going to be the final version anyway.
Yep. Not only that, but remember, you know, we're not, you know, AAA studios. We're volunteers who are doing this as hobbies. It is maybe one person and maybe a couple of people, but, you know, you have to do that when you don't have real life stuff going on, when you don't have that coming into the getting in the way, and, you know, that can always be a factor as well. Not only that, but you mentioned like the perfection stuff. Perfection is always the enemy of all that stuff. You could be like 99% there, and then have another like 50% to go, because you are just continuously trying to get to that perfect point, and there won't be a perfect point. So if anybody out there wants to create a fan game for the I Wanna community, we have Game Maker, and we have a lot of tutorials on the website, on our community. We have a lot of people that are willing to help out, program if you need to, but Game Maker is a pretty good program for doing that. I know that Super Mario has Lunar Magic stuff, but yeah, if you're ever interested in making games yourselves, feel free to hit up the different communities. Between the Lunar Magic stuff in Super Mario World, between the Game Maker stuff in ours, I forgot what Matthew said for Super Monkey Ball, but between all the different communities, there's always going to be a big community that are helping out making that stuff. So yeah, contact those people and get in touch with them. But we're going to be moving over to the next game. But thanks so much for lending us your time, Wolfie, and thanks for demolishing that game so quickly. That was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I hope everyone liked it, and, you know, like, shout outs to Lemon for helping me a lot with like finding struts and like figuring some stuff out of the game. And also shout outs to Grisha as well, who did a translation of this game, which again is available on the Delphi review. Like, big shout outs for helping understanding what's actually happening, because that's really nice.
Yep. All right, so stick around, everybody. We will be right back with Small Ame.